If we look at the modern machinery of capitalism, we'll find there's government regulation. We already covered government regulation. That is obviously to avoid market abuses and monopolies. Corporate structure, that is most definitely something that's part of modern capitalism. How long has the corporate body been around, anyone?
150 years.
Yeah, about 150, 175 years. Started off here in the UK, as most things do. Taxation. Obviously, government needs to perform certain functions in society. Healthcare, for example. A bit socialist that, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Taxation is part of this in order to allow the government to fulfill its obligations to the people. Globalization, why is that important? Well, new markets. Yeah? Last 10 years, 15 years, the world has definitely shrunk. The markets are more accessible to individuals and corporations. This allows capitalism to flourish, which is why if you go to the Middle East, you'll have teenagers walking around with New York Yankee caps with a McDonald's Big Mac in their hands. It's cultural too. And finally, and this is one of the key areas that we are going to talk about here, is the banking system itself. Because the banking system provides liquidity, the money within which we can all pursue our individual desires, our individual interests. So up until this point, we haven't really spoken much about Islamic finance, right? Because Islamic finance or its principles are a part of this. This is trying to give, it's an attempt to give you an understanding of the philosophy of money, if you like. What our place is within that model, and not to kind of sleepwalk through it. Okay, so let's now dissect each of these areas. Everyone with me?
Yeah.
Alexa? Yes? Start. Corporate structure. 150, 175 years ago was created to mitigate risk. So that as a shareholder in the corporate structure, you can only lose that which you've put in, not your personal assets. Is that a good thing? It's a good thing, right? Sometimes. Okay, yeah, it's true. Sometimes it's a good thing, depending upon the individual. It may create risky behavior in the market too. Okay, open investment opportunities. So all of us here, if we go back to when the railways were being built in the UK, which is one of the corporations which grew, the money was needed. The money of individuals was needed in order to do that. So it was an opportunity for the small man and the small woman on the street to actually get a piece of the pie. All good so far. Embody self-interest. You have your shareholding. You're interested in making money. You're interested in the venture being profitable. You have your rights protected. You can sell those shares on in the secondary market if you wish to. So everyone's happy. Kind of goes a bit wrong here. Clinically psychopathic. I know you read the book The Corporation by Joel Baker, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Let's give you an example from his book. Anybody read his book? Yeah, just the one. Okay. GM Motors, about 50 years ago, they were involved in a very high-profile court case which kind of highlighted the power of corporations and how they operate. There was a woman that had 3 children at a traffic light in a GM car. A drunk driver came right through the back of them. The car exploded and everybody died. Now, so a case was brought against GM for faulty design. And what they found through the investigation, and you can imagine how much GM fought this, what they found was that an internal investigation was carried out before the car was designed. And they assigned somebody to understand the risk, to quantify the risk of putting the fuel tank 11 inches in or 11 inches out in the car. They knew, and you can go and have a look at this, they knew that if that fuel tank was 11 inches further out, it will result in further death through a rear collision. performed a calculation. They said, right, how many cars do we have on the road? How many will we sell? How many accidents will occur, and what will be the insurance payout on each of those? And then they divided that by the number of cars they had, so they apportioned a cost of doing this. It's basically the cost of human life, if you want to be emotive about it. And they made the decision that it's better, it's more cost effective for the corporation to actually have that petrol tank a little bit further back. That's how corporations wish to behave. No, they don't wish to behave, that is how they behave. You know this whole thing in the last 20 years about being green? Put your hands up here if you think corporations have done that because it's the right thing to do. Right, great. So nobody believes that, right? Everyone's green. Everyone's perceived to be green. Yeah? I mean, as students, you guys are probably all love Apple, right? And I've got my Apple machine here, this gent's got his Apple machine there, everyone's got an Apple something, right? When you go in the, have you got an Apple store here? No. Is there an Apple store in Birmingham? Sorry, one big area for me to worry about. And you go in there, everybody's your friend, right? Because that's what Apple is, and your mates. But that's just because of the way we like to purchase stuff. Back in the day, it wasn't like that. So corporations, don't be fooled, which you're not. They're there to make a profit. And they're looking to externalize any costs, human or otherwise. That's the book. Just want to take a note of it. The Pathological Pursuit of Profit and Power. I apologize for the emotive title and the picture. It's obviously there to sell, which is quite capitalist in itself, really, isn't it? Which is not a problem. That's a good read. If you're not actually into this stuff, that's a good, straightforward read, and it's quite balanced. There's also a documentary out. Okay. There's some cracking quotes about corporations. We won't linger on them too much, but I'll just read the first one up by Noam Chomsky. The goal of corporations is to maximize profits and market share, and they also have a goal for their target, namely the population. They have to be turned into completely mindless consumers of goods that they do not want. You have to develop what are called creative wants. So you have to create wants. You have to impose on people what's called the philosophy of futility. You have to focus them on the insignificant things of life, such as fashionable consumption. I'm just basically quoting business literature, and it makes perfect sense. The idea is to have individuals who are totally disassociated from one another, whose conception of themselves, the sense of value, is just how many creative wants can I satisfy. And we have huge industries, public relations industries, monstrous industries, advertising and so on, which is designed from infancy to mold people into this desired pattern. You get the point. A quick word on the WTO. I've already mentioned who they are. Set up in 1995, supranational organisation, 153 member states. They're accused of not really taking labour practices too seriously or the effect on the environment. They're basically considered to be a closely dagger organisation to increase or to represent large companies so that they can continue to do what they have done over the years. The only thing that really stops corporations doing this these days is because of the increased media perspective. But we won't say too much more on that. Okay, on to the meat. We've had the side dish. Banking fundamentals. Banks treat money as a commodity to trade with rather than a means of exchange of value. How old is modern banking?
150 years.
150 years? Anyone else?
200 years.
200 years. It's about 400 years old. It's about 400 years old. And back in the day, as you're going to see now, everyone was united on the principle of money being a means of exchange, not a means of not a commodity in and of itself to trade. And why was that philosophy prevalent? Again, as you'll see, Aristotle, Socrates, blah, 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 St. Thomas Aquinas, they all said this as a philosophical point of view. But even the Christian and the Jewish texts